friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. Well, I thought today might be a good day for me to show you how I lay out my patchwork skirts now, because I do it differently now than I did in the video I put out a while back about how to make a patchwork skirt. Pretty much everything else about is the same, but how I lay out the fabrics to get them so they don't overlap each other is different. It's a little more time involved, and it also requires a lot more space. And so this big room is a perfect place to do this. And I also, for those of you who are new, you may not understand, this 1,100 square foot room that I'm standing in used to be my old dance studio and martial arts studio, because I taught both. I taught dance for 27 years here, and I also taught martial arts, taekwondo, wu wei, gung fu for about 8 years in this room. And then I retired a couple years ago and got into the YouTube, and now it's been converted to a new type of business room. And one is, you know, working on my patchwork skirts and aprons. Mr. Rain also uses it for some of his projects. It also becomes a video studio for certain videos that we shoot, and it's probably more of a workspace now than it was when I was teaching classes 5 days a week in it. So let me get started on showing you how I'm doing my skirts. All right, so right here you can see I've started laying out this is the fourth tier you see right here. Right here is the third tier. And then right here, hanging on the back of these two chairs, is the first two tiers of this skirt. So what I do is I lay out the first three tiers at the same time. So I'll do really space out the first tier, and then I lay out the second tier on that, and then the way you see this kind of bunched up like this is how I do the third tier. Then I will sew together the first tier and then the second tier, and then put those two together, and I drape them over the chairs like that, so I kind of have a reference point to look at. And then I lay the third tier. You can see how long this is just the third tier. Keep in mind the fourth tier of the skirt is twice as long as this. That's very long. So that's 24 squares right there. And so I'll lay it out like this. I always start from the same side. And I keep my squares in little piles like this. And then I eyeball it. So before, the way I used to do it is I always followed the same pattern of 6 or 5 or whatever it was, how my pattern was, and just keep repeating it, which by doing that would cause sometimes, like, maybe this orange would overlap with that, or the print would overlap with the same print, and I didn't like that, but I couldn't find the best way to do it. This way means I have to get away from sticking to a strict pattern. So you can see these two oranges are a little closer together than I would like them. However, in the overall design of the skirt, there's none of this orange right here. And if you look up here, I kind of reference back to see where the colors are on those, so it helps me decide for sure how I want to do this. Now, there is a pattern in the fact of this one because I'm doubling up on the print. So the print is always going to be like this, and there's always going to be two solids between each print. And it just depends on the skirt I'm doing, and if I'm doubling up on the prints, it's going to be different for each skirt. It depends on how many colors, how many fabrics I'm using in the skirt. In this one, I'm only using 5 fabrics. So the print is the one I get doubled up on because I think it's the one that needs to be seen the most, where the solid colors can just be spread out. So you can see here I started with this kind of dark orange and then yellow, and then yellow and then orange and then gold. But then here it changes because it goes dark yellow, then orange, and then yellow and gold. And then it changes yet again as it goes along. And I'm still not done, but I just thought I'd kind of show you the start of the process. So the next color I'm going to use is the dark orange. And besides, I've got a lot of space between that. So it takes a lot of looking and planning. And as I go along, sometimes I'll go back and say, you know what, I'm going to switch these two colors up. And it takes me a lot longer to lay out a skirt this way. However, I think the end design just turns out a lot nicer. And because I have to use so much floor space, I have to do it on the floor. I do sweep the floor every time before I do this. However, I also make sure once I've got the skirt all sewn together and I don't need to lay it out on the floor again, that is when I wash it. So, and you can see over here on these chairs, I have two other skirts. This is one I'm making just to put directly up on the store, and then this is another one I'm making as a special order, but that blue fabric right there I'm focusing in on, I ran out of, so I'm waiting for it to come in. It's supposed to be in today, and then I'll be able to finish her skirt. So then going over here on this table is where this is that skirt I got to finish out. I have the third tier done, and then all the squares to lay out are there. And then here's the other thing I do is I always put a clothespin at the end that's going to lay to the left side. So you can see over there, there's a clothespin. That way, once I pick everything up, I'll know for sure that when I go to sew this onto the second tier, I'm going to start at this end, laying it against this end, and then working down that way and bunching it up. And then if you want to see how I sew together the skirt, as far as sewing it together, go check out that video and you can see how it all comes together, how I ruffle the fabric as I go, because I don't have a ruffler. And then of course there's a couple more skirts. That's why these are all piled here, because that's another special order right there I'm going to be doing. And that's another special order. These are all pretty much special orders, or even ones that I'm in the progress of working on. This one, since it wasn't a special order, I'm putting it on hold for the time being because I need to do this and this. And then when those are done, if I don't have any other and that. And if I don't have any other special orders after that, then I'll get back to that so I can put it right up on the store. Now, to explain my room here, I wanted to wait until we got things fixed up a little bit more. There's just still a lot of things in progress here, like these were our old kitchen cabinets, our old lower kitchen cabinets. We still have the top ones in that Mr. Rain needs to rebuild. And so he took these out and refinished them. And so I use this for storing my soaps, my lip balms, shipping supplies are in here. Some of the things that I already have made up for selling, like, like the soaps and lip balms, but also like things like my, hand crocheted doodads there. I've got some hats that I've made that are up on the store. I keep them in there. And then the countertop is not done. And this is where Mr. Rain does this burns our logo into this stuff. And here's where I weigh the packages. But eventually, this is all oak. I wanted to show this after it was all done, but it's probably going to be a while because he's been needing to let this dry completely. That's why it's all laying out in here like that. And then he's got to he's got to do all the work and then put it together and then put a finish on it. And then here are some of the products we have for sale. I have yet to list this one on the store. I got to do that. Maybe by the time this video comes up, you'll see that on the store. It's more for a young girl. It's a camo kitty hat, hand crocheted. And then a couple of Mr. Rain's cutting boards, the pig and the chicken. These are all up on our store. And the big cutting board and some smaller cutting boards. And then the food serving tray, a sock darner, his fire starter puck jig, and a rolling pin. I still got to get that listed. So that's what all this is used for. This is all business stuff. In fact, this whole room, these cabinets weren't here when I was teaching dance. This is all new stuff since I retired. And then none of this stuff, none of this was here. This was all empty. Same thing with these tables over here. The card tables we set up, we turn this into a makeshift dining area when we have lots of company, Thanksgiving dinner and stuff. But in the meantime, it also becomes a workspace. Like Mr. Rain was working on a seat for a plane that he's helping a friend build. And then this becomes another workspace. And then over there, the green screen, you might think that's for us, but we may use it someday if we decide to get really creative. But that is my son's. He also shoots videos. And so that's his little work station over there. Over there is my hair cutting section. So that's my little barber shop right over there. And then my drum set, I still don't have the cymbals set up, but I'm thinking I'm going to give this to my older son. Whenever he's ready, he'll come pick it up. So I didn't bother putting the cymbals on there yet. I don't play the drums anymore. That's behind me now. And then right here is another, this would be like when we have a big meal in here, this is where we would set up all the food on this table, and then people can sit over there. But again, this is for the time being, it's a workspace for Patrick to use when he's doing some of his wood products and he needs a place to dry them, a warmer, drier place. And then this, you may be wondering, these are mats. These are martial arts mats. But that back there is a guest room that we're renting out. And so I set these mats up like a wall for to make more privacy for the young lady we're renting that room out to. And then if I turn around and show you this wall, you'll recognize it because Mr. Rain and I will sit right here sometimes. We'll pull this table out and we'll sit here and shoot some of our videos and put our Rain Country sign there. So there's my spinning wheel that someday I hope to have time to finally figure out how to use. I keep some of our chicken grains right back in here. You can see my, because I don't have a real dry place to store them right now. I do have a galvanized garbage can. I keep a lot of stuff in there, but I store the excess in here. The garbage can's out in their coop. But there's my gray mill, and then there's that work table again, and we store all our packing boxes under here. We've got these two desks, which used to be used for my other businesses, that are now being used for sewing. And under the desks, I store more fabrics. And then right here is a set of shelves that I made some curtains over. Now I store lots more fabrics. I have them all in color orders. I'm not going to show it to you because it's a big mess, even though it's somewhat organized by color. There's where I dry my soap. I need to get busy and make some more soap. That is yet another skirt project I got to do. But these desk tops get used for laying out fabrics as well, for for making the aprons and all kinds of stuff. In fact, that right there is another apron. It's not a special order, it's just one that I'm making to put up. And you may have seen me wear one like this. I made one for myself, and then I'm in the process of making another one to put up on the store. Now, the interesting thing about this drawer right here is sticking out with this board on top of it, because since I moved the treadle machine out so I can sit right in front of the sliding glass door and get that natural light coming in on me, I also, one thing I started doing to streamline things is I set my laptop right here, and I edit videos while I'm working on skirts and aprons. So I can, really am multitasking when I do that. And if I'm not doing that, this cool little thing right here, my mom got me for my birthday, and it's a King James Bible. It's all in digital format, and I really, really like it. I can sit in here and listen to the Bible while I'm sewing. And it's just been a real blessing. And then down here, all these pillows, this is where the dogs like to hang out when I'm sewing in here. And then over here, you can see this is where I keep the camp oven. And sometimes we'll cook in here. I've been practicing on it. You'll see some videos on that. And it's just a good place because I can set the can there, and then that's the sliding glass door behind that curtain. I can just open that up and get some, plenty of ventilation in here. So that's it. I mean, it's not super clean. It's not super nice looking. I keep it as organized as I can, but I'm constantly in here working. Back over there, some of this other stuff you see is old martial arts equipment, just like up there, that I can't bring myself to get rid of yet because I don't know. My boys both have black belts as well. They may want to get into teaching, or they may want to just have them I might want to keep them for grandkids, or who knows, I'm kind of thinking about starting some ladies self-defense classes here again, but I don't know how to do it with all this stuff in the way now, because this whole room once used to be used for for a class, this whole space. That's why all those mirrors are there, because you can see the ballet bars. And some of it's hidden by the green screen. But anyway, that's my tour that I've been promising, and I'll show you some more updates down the road as we get more things done. Okay, so there's my quick tour of the room. Well, it's probably not very quick, but it's one I've been promising for a while. I did a tour a while back. Things were a little different than they are now, and things are still in a state of flux as we streamline things and find out the best way to work this area so that it can be best for, you know, doing our YouTube videos, working on our skirt orders, making cutting boards and noodle drying racks and all kinds of stuff. And it is nice to have this space. And, you know, when our kids were young, it was a great play area too, but it's kind of different having so much stuff in here. I'm used to this room being big and empty, but we're making the most out of this room. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and that maybe you learned something new as far as the patchwork skirts, those of you who are getting into making those for yourself. Thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.